KATSEYE.
It's KATSEYE Radio.
Welcome to the third episode of KATSEYE Radio. It's your host, Daniela. Hola, ¿cómo están todos? Muchas gracias por conectarse y querer compartir este momento conmigo. Today, I'd like to share my playlist of songs that I grew up listening to as a kid. Espero que les guste y que me hagan algunos comentarios. The era of MP3s, before streaming existed when we had to download songs. I too had an MP3, and I only had like 5 songs on it. I remember being in the backseat of my mom's car with my MP3 player, wired headphones plugged in, blasting music at full volume with those same 5 songs on a constant loop. But I never got sick of them. Well, this song is probably one of my earliest memories of music. Let's listen to Rocketeer by Far East Movement. I'd say most of my earlier taste in music was heavily influenced by my mom. It's hard not to talk about her when discussing my playlist choices. Most of the songs I'll be sharing with you today I was probably introduced to by my mom and are now my favorites. Now I share playlists and get recommended new songs by close friends or the algorithm. What are some ways you discover new music? Let me know in the comments. Well before all of that, I had my mom and our in-home studio. Back at our house in Georgia, my mom built a studio for me in the garage of our house because she wanted to teach me how to dance just like her. Around the age of 6, I watched as the studio got built. We started by adding mirrors, renovating the floors, attaching a ballet bar. It was a whole transformation. I thought, we're going to have our own dance studio in our own home. So cool. She started her own dance school and was always down there teaching dance, blasting music so loud that you could hear it from upstairs. It was pretty hard to ignore. And Mom, if you're tuning in, I'm sure you're not going to be surprised by the songs I chose for this playlist. Whether I was in the living room, right next to the garage, in the kitchen, or up in my room on the second floor, you could feel the bass hitting the walls. Boom, boom, boom. You could hear it from any part of the house. So I'd listen in and sometimes even interrupt my mom's classes to ask her, "Hey, what are you listening to?" Most often than not, my mom was listening to an Usher track. My mom was a big fan of Usher, and I remember being so jealous when my mom told me she was going to his concert when I was younger. She was constantly listening to his songs. Yeah was a household favorite. Did any of you tune in into his Super Bowl halftime show? He's such a natural. If you didn't get the hint by now, well, next up is an Usher song that was one of the songs I had on repeat on my little MP3. DJ Got Us Fallen in Love by Usher and Pitbull. You know, music back then was just so different. Every song was literally just so danceable. This song was actually one of the very few songs in my MP3 that I would listen to in the car all the time. I was usually on my way to practice at my dance partner's house because he also had a dance garage. Maybe it was a thing back then, I don't know. But my mom was our dance coach and teacher, and fun fact, she choreographed all of our dance pieces, including the one on America's Got Talent. I also had this obsession with Pitbull when I was around 8 or 9. I even dressed up as Pitbull for Halloween during Dream Academy. If you didn't know, now you know. I saw comments of everyone trying to guess what I dressed up as. Let me know if you guessed correctly. I saw some Mr. Clean in there. Well, Pitbull was my favorite, and I couldn't even tell you how many songs of his I've danced to, competed with, or made choreography to. I resonated with Pitbull because he and his family have a Cuban background, and my mom would always be listening to Pitbull and telling me, "You should dance to this Pitbull song." We were always looking for upbeat, fast-tempo songs for me to dance to and compete with, and Pitbull was always up there. Mr. Worldwide. He was so cool. I feel like my personality is reflected in the songs I listen to. And the ad-libs in Pitbull's songs like, "Woo!" definitely describe the energy I was giving when I was a little girl. Super energetic and hyper. Aside from Pitbull, my mom also introduced me to a lot of Latin music and artists. I had the opportunity to live in Miami for 3 years. Miami, oh my god, esta ciudad es el punto de encuentro de todos los artistas de la música latina. Aunque mi mamá es cubana y mi papá es venezolano, ellos me llevaban de vacaciones a su otro país favorito, República Dominicana. It was so important to my parents that I stayed connected with my culture. Every summer we would visit the Dominican Republic and it was like our second home. Music always surrounded us everywhere we went, and it was then that I was introduced to this song. It's one of my favorite songs in Spanish, and it was really important to me to include a song that represents my culture in my playlist. Shall we give it a listen? Now playing Danza Kuduro by Don Omar y Lucenzo. Whenever this song came on, my mom and I just started dancing. Then my dad joined in. It always brings me back to the summers in DR. The beaches, beautiful scenery, and music. I remember befriending these kids that lived in the condos next to where we stayed, and they became my besties. They taught me conversational Italian, and we'd frequent the water parks. I wonder what they're up to now. This next song was also introduced to me when I would visit DR, and I immediately was obsessed with it. Even back home, I always woke up to Latin bachata music, and this was probably my favorite song to wake up to. I'd get up from bed, hum along as I picked out my outfit for the day, brushed my teeth, grabbed breakfast, and then I would head straight down for the beach to meet up with my dad. I want to know what some of y'all like listening to as you start your day. Please share them with me in the comments and I'll check some of them out. In the meantime, let's listen to Darte un beso by Prince Royce. Prince Royce was one of my favorites and my celebrity crush when I was like 6. Y adivinen qué, tuve el chance de conocerlo en persona y de tomarme una foto con él. I loved his voice and was able to sing along to every single lyric, especially this one. When this song came on, my mom would grab me by my arms and start dancing with me. I was her resident dance partner. Speaking of dance partners, I also had 3 dance partners who were my friends, who actually didn't dance at all, except when we played this video game called Just Dance. Do y'all know what Just Dance is? It's a rhythm game where you dance to songs in it. My friend had Just Dance at her place, and whenever I visited her, we would dance to the same songs. I was young, probably around 7, and we'd play the same songs over and over again, and this one had the catchiest lyrics. When I grow up, I want to be famous, I want to be a star, I want to be in movies. Can you guess what song this is? Let's go hear it. That was When I Grow Up by the Pussycat Dolls. Back then, I didn't know too much about the song or PCD. I thought it was a song from the game, but now I admire them for the confidence they exude. Even the characters dancing to When I Grow Up in Just Dance were so confident. Even if you couldn't see their face, you could tell just from their body language how confident they were. I hope to channel and exude that same energy from PCD as an artist. Sassy, fierce, and super confident both on and off stage. In addition to the Pussycat Dolls, Britney Spears is another artist I look up to. The song I'm about to share with you is the song that introduced me to Britney. Although I had no idea who she was at the time, I instantly fell in love with her music. Interestingly, it became more than a catchy tune for me. It became the soundtrack to my ballroom dance lessons. This was my mom's go-to song to teach me swing, and the repetition of dancing to the same songs helped me improve and practice. Next up, Womanizer by Britney Spears. Swing, also called the jitterbug, is a form of ballroom dance that you perform with a partner. My mom was an amazing dancer, choreographer, and teacher. Without her, I wouldn't be where I am today. She started with ballet while growing up in Cuba and later branched out after moving to the US with Latin ballroom dancing. Ballroom dancing consists of many different types of dance: cha-cha, samba, rumba, pasodoble, and jive. Other than the Latin ballroom, she also knew bachata, salsa, and she also learned Afro-Cuban while growing up in Cuba. When she was younger, she also did breakdancing, merengue, tango, the list goes on. I'm so grateful to have had her not only as my dance teacher, but someone to look up to. She always told me to keep my head up high. I was that girl. Go shine on stage, she'd say. She also knew how to hype me up, like the songs on this playlist, and was the #1 person to instill confidence in me before I went up on stage. She was the one who encouraged me to keep pushing and to never give up. So when I moved to Miami when I was around 9, I branched out to different dance styles: ballet, hip-hop, jazz, contemporary. Then I started to create my own choreography. Up next on the playlist, a song that I first choreographed to, If It Ain't Love by Jason Derulo. In 7th grade, there was a school talent show and I knew I had to participate. I was on a search to find the perfect song, and I came across a choreography video by Matt Stefanina to If It Ain't Love. Mesmerized by the choreography, I started learning it off the video and decided I want to perform his piece at the talent show. My first step into choreographing started with me adding small moves here and there to Matt's piece. A Daniela spin on it, if you will. I vividly remember performing on stage and seeing my dad in the crowd, recording me on his camera, and seeing his big smile from the stage after my performance ended. Oh my god, we're already at the last song of the playlist. Next in line, I have another banger I discovered through Just Dance, except this one followed me into Dream Academy. It was the very first song I learned choreography to during my Dream Academy training. It was also my very first heels choreo and monthly eval. For those of you who don't know, monthly eval is when we showcase what we've worked on during the month. I thought it was funny, but at the same time nostalgic because who would have thought? Here's SOS by Rihanna. I love me some Riri. It was nerve-wracking to jump into training and finding out the rest of the girls had already started learning the choreo. But when I found out we were dancing to SOS by Rihanna, I was like, oh my god, I love this song. There was a quick shift of energy from nervousness to excitement, and I knew I was in the right place. But I can't tell this story without telling you how challenging heels dance was. Ballroom dancing is performed in heels too, but this was a completely different universe. There was floor work, legs, kicks, and turns. It was also completely different from what they had me doing on Just Dance. Looking back, I realized just how much I grew, not only as a dancer, but as a person. It's hard to notice and keep track of how much you've grown on a day-to-day basis, so it's important to take time to reflect. Thanks to my mom and the tremendous support from my family, I grew up very confident. But I'd say I'm still working on how to channel that energy into my performance, especially when it comes to singing. I'd say I'm definitely more comfortable with my dancing than my singing, but I'm working really hard to improve my skills and channel the same confidence I have for dancing with my singing. Thank you for tuning in and listening to my story thus far. I curated this playlist to be a feel-good playlist, filled with songs that made me feel confident and songs that won't let me stay still. I'm happy I got to share my childhood memories and playlists with you all. Espero que hayan disfrutado. Regresen nuevamente la semana que viene. Let me know some of your childhood favorites in the comments. We will see you guys again next week with another episode from Laura. Stay tuned. Bye.